Atlanta doesn't sleep, but on this night it felt as if the entire city was holding its breath, waiting for something ugly to unfold. The lights burned bright, the music blared, and the energy was electric. But behind that sparkle, there was tension so thick you could slice it with a knife. Hours later, headlines would scream Tamar Braxton's name, painting her as the victim of a night that ended with her face fractured, her teeth gone, and her body so broken she whispered, "I almost died." By sunrise, what began as laughter and wine at a steakhouse spiraled into the kind of chaos Atlanta never forgets. It wasn't just an accident, not just a wild night gone wrong. It was a chain of whispers, rivalries, and silence so strategic it told its own story. Because when the names Yandy Smith, Mendeecees Harris, Funky Dineva, and the shadow no one ever forgets, cousin Kesha, circle the same night, the ending is never clean. The evening started innocently enough, or at least that's how it looked, on Instagram stories. Tamar Braxton was radiant, sipping her wine, laughing too loud, dressed like she knew the cameras were watching. Across from her at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse sat her longtime friend Funky Dineva, sliding in his little jokes, holding up his phone to catch snippets for his followers. It looked picture perfect, clinking glasses, plates of food, and Tamar giving. That big personality fans adore. To casual eyes, it was harmless, just a diva and her friend catching dinner. But in Atlanta, people know that smiles don't last. This city has a way of flipping joy into scandal, of turning dinners into disasters. And when Tamar Braxton and Funky Dineva left that restaurant and headed for V12 Lounge, the energy followed them like a curse. Inside V12, the music pounded hard enough to shake the walls, lights flickered across bodies moving in rhythm, and at the center of the haze stood Mendeecees Harris. To the world, he is the husband of Yandy Smith, the man who survived years of whispers about cheating and betrayal by simply staying silent. That's his playbook. Never confirm, never deny. Just sit still while the storm passes. But silence doesn't erase suspicion. For years, blogs have accused him of living double lives, of leaning too close to women who weren't his wife, of letting his charm write checks his loyalty couldn't cash. And that night at V12, witnesses swear he was leaning far too close to Tamar Braxton. Their voices low, heads tilted together, fingers brushing just enough to spark gossip. It didn't look like business. It didn't look like friendship. It looked like danger wrapped in charm. And in Atlanta, danger never goes unnoticed, and danger never moves without Yandy Smith. When she stepped into that lounge, the whole room shifted. No shouting, no wild gestures, just her presence. Calm, polished, collected, but sharper than a knife. She's the strategist, the queen who turns silence into a weapon, who plays the long game while everyone else plays checkers. Imagine the scene. Tamar Braxton glowing under neon lights, laughing too loudly, sitting too close to Mendeecees Harris. And then Yandy Smith entering with the quiet confidence of a woman who doesn't need to scream to make a point. You could feel it in the air, every beat of the music clashing with the weight of her stare. Everyone sensed it. This wasn't going to stay civil. The clash came fast. Some say Tamar Braxton smirked first, daring Yandy with a smile that said she wasn't afraid. Others insist Yandy Smith cut across the room with her eyes, making it clear she wasn't about to be played. Words flew sharp as knives. "You got a problem?" Witnesses swear Tamar Braxton snapped, her voice slicing through the baseline. "Do I?" Yandy Smith shot back, cool and steady. Phones went up in the air, recording. Drinks stopped mid-sip. Everyone knew this was about to explode. And right in the middle of it all sat Mendeecees Harris, the man whose silence had carried him through 100 scandals. He didn't move, didn't speak, didn't defend. He leaned back, letting women set fire to each other while he stayed untouched in the smoke. It's his survival code. Stay still while the chaos burns, knowing the flames won't reach him. But this time, his silence felt less like survival and more like gasoline poured on a fire. Tamar Braxton doesn't do silence. She got louder, her words dripping with shade. "You think you own him?" Witnesses claim she hissed, her tone sharp enough to slice glass. Yandy Smith, queen of restraint, didn't raise her voice, didn't throw a hand. She let her stillness sting harder than any insult. But silence only holds so long. A glass tipped. Some say Tamar Braxton slammed it. Others claim Yandy Smith shoved it away. Liquid splashed, screams echoed, and in seconds the room was chaos. Security scrambled, people ducked. And from the shadows, one name ripped through the noise. Cousin Kesha. The memory of her storming a Love and Hip Hop reunion years ago never left fans' minds. They remembered her charging, her fury, her loyalty to Yandy. So when whispers said she pulled up at V12, no one needed proof. They believed it instantly. Did she shove Tamar Braxton? Did she swing through the blur of flashing lights? Nobody could say for certain. But in Atlanta, rumors don't need confirmation. If Kesha pulled up, then the story was already written. And once her name entered the mix, the whole scandal turned from messy to deadly. Funky Dineva stood there too, caught between roles, friend, commentator, instigator. Some witnesses say he tried to hold Tamar Braxton back. Others say he smirked, already spinning the night into a future video. Either way, he didn't stop it. He watched the clash unfold, watched his friend get dragged by security, watched Yandy Smith stay flawless even in fury, watched Mendeecees Harris keep still in silence. He saw it all, and yet when the smoke cleared, he chose to laugh. By the time Tamar Braxton stormed out of that lounge, hashtags were already taking over timelines. Tamar vs Yandy, Ani Mendeecees drama, or clash at V12, TikTok edits went live before she even made it home. Instagram fan pages screamed for answers. Twitter threads broke down every second of the confrontation. Atlanta was buzzing, but no one expected the morning bombshell. Because hours later, Tamar Braxton broke the internet with a post that froze the city. I almost died. I woke up in a pool of blood, my nose fractured, my teeth missing, my body weak, my memory gone. And just like that, the laughter turned into horror. The diva who never stays quiet had gone silent. The woman who thrives on speaking her truth was reduced to one broken caption. Hours after clashing with Yandy Smith, hours after leaning too close to Mendeecees Harris, hours after walking out with Funky Dineva, Tamar Braxton was in a hospital bed. Accident? Coincidence? Or revenge wrapped in silence? Fans didn't buy the accident theory. The streets didn't call it bad luck. They called it payback. Because in Atlanta, silence is never empty. Yandy Smith's silence is strategy. Mendeecees. Harris's silence is survival. Tamar Braxton's silence is rare, and when it lingers, it screams louder than any words. So when she showed her face bloodied and broken without pointing fingers, the internet filled in the blanks. This wasn't random. This was retaliation. The hours after Tamar Braxton's bloody revelation were chaos. But what rattled fans more than her pain was the silence from the people around her. Mendeecees Harris vanished into stillness. No statement, no defense, no show of support. His Instagram stayed empty, his voice unheard. And that silence, instead of protecting him, burned him deeper. If he was truly innocent, why not clear the air? Why not protect his wife or defend Tamar Braxton? Instead, he did what he's always done, retreat into quiet, letting women absorb the blows while he watched the storm pass. To the streets, that wasn't strategy anymore. It looked like confirmation. It looked like guilt. Meanwhile, Yandy Smith played her role like a queen on a chessboard. Not a rant, not a meltdown, not even acknowledgement of the headlines circling her family, just polished photos of smiling children, business events, family dinners, the image of calm. But fans weren't fooled. They knew her silence was a weapon. They remembered how she had always stayed clean while someone else got their hands dirty. And they remembered who that someone usually was. Cousin Kesha. The very mention of her name made the internet buzz. She didn't post, she didn't confirm, she didn't deny, but her reputation did all the talking. Fans decided she was there, whether anyone proved it or not. In Atlanta, sometimes assumption is stronger than fact, and this time, the assumption was deadly. Then there was Funky Dineva, the one person who could have shattered the confusion. He was there from the beginning, at dinner, at the lounge, even at Tamar Braxton's home. Every timeline placed him in the middle. But instead of acting like a concerned friend, he slipped into performance mode. He laughed. He mocked. He turned pain into parody. A fake wanted poster accusing himself of wild crimes hit his platforms, and while some fans chuckled, most were furious. "This is cover-up energy," one wrote. "He knows something." Another blasted him. "Your friend said she almost died and you're cracking jokes?" His defense was weak, and then his own words betrayed him. In a video, he casually revealed that the very next morning, Tamar Braxton texted him, "I lost 4 teeth. Do you know a dentist?" The internet froze at that line. 4 teeth gone in one night. And instead of panic, instead of calling the police, instead of rushing to her side, Funky Deneva brushed it off with a laugh. To her fans, that wasn't loyalty. It was betrayal. To them, it felt like he was protecting someone else, maybe Mendeecees Harris, maybe Yandy Smith, maybe even himself. But he wasn't protecting Tamar. On TikTok, users reenacted the entire saga, painting their own versions of the night. Some clips dramatized Tamar Braxton, screaming while security dragged her away. Others showed a silent Mendeecees Harris leaning back, letting the fire rage. Some creators even played cousin Kesha in slow motion, storming the lounge like an Avenger. These clips hit millions of views, spreading faster than any official news source could. Instagram flooded with memes. Yandy's face over captions like, "Don't play with her man unless you're ready for her cousin." Twitter turned into a battlefield, half calling for compassion for Tamar, half saying she deserved the fall for playing too close to another woman's husband. But under all the noise, the conclusion rang the same. This wasn't random, this wasn't a stumble. This was revenge, wrapped in silence, carried out in shadows. And as the city argued, Tamar Braxton herself went quiet. No clarifications, no interviews, no denials, just a single bloody post and then silence. And for her fans, that silence hurt, more than the bruises. Because Tamar has never been silent. Tamar has never let anyone else tell her story. But this time, she said nothing. And that nothing screamed louder than anything else. By the time the night bled into morning, Atlanta was no longer whispering. It was screaming. What happened at V12 Lounge didn't just stay in the shadows of a club. It spilled into every living room, every phone screen, every blog. The city that thrives on gossip, that breathes scandal like oxygen, had already decided what the headlines wouldn't dare to print. Tamar Braxton had crossed the line. Mendeecees Harris sat in the middle of it. Yandy Smith orchestrated without moving a finger. Cousin Kesha was the shadow hand that delivered the pain. And Funky Deneva laughed when he should have cried. The beauty of Atlanta is that it doesn't wait for the truth. It builds its own. And by dawn, that story was everywhere. Written not by the press, but by the streets. The hashtags did their job like wildfire. Kesha Pulled Up wasn't just trending. It was cementing her reputation all over again. Everyone knew the story from the reunion. Everyone remembered how Kesha charged across that stage with fury in her eyes. She had become the symbol of what happens when words no longer work, the one who handled what Yandy never touched. So when Tamar ended up bloody and broken, fans didn't question. They declared, "Kesha pulled up. Case closed." It didn't matter that no video caught it. In Atlanta, sometimes myth becomes fact faster than evidence. Yandy vs. Tamar painted the clash as inevitable, like two storms colliding in the same sky. On TikTok, clips turned into fan-made trailers, dramatic edits with Tamar smirking, Yandy glaring, Mendeecees sitting silent in slow motion, Funky Deneva cackling, and Kesha storming in with the caption, "Atlanta doesn't play." Some edits racked up millions of views in hours. Fans treated it like an episode of Love and Hip Hop that had spilled into real life. They reenacted the bloody aftermath, shouted lines that were never confirmed but felt true. "You think you own him? Do I?" They turned Tamar's blood into content, her silence into a storyline, her pain into entertainment. Then came Bar Bloody Tamar, and that tag split the internet in two. One side rallied behind her, posting, "No woman deserves to wake up in a pool of blood with crying emojis and broken hearts." The other side dragged her without mercy. "She's messy, she chased Yandy's husband, she got what was coming." It was brutal, but that's how this city plays. Compassion and cruelty always live side by side, and both can go viral at the same speed. And then the harshest tag of all, a Mendeecees mess. It wasn't just about that night. It was years of suspicion, years of blogs dragging his name, years of women accusing him of leaning too close, playing too silent. The internet tied it all together. His muteness in the lounge, his muteness online, his muteness while Tamar bled. Silence wasn't protection anymore. Silence was guilt. Silence was a confession louder than words. But what truly cemented the scandal was Funky Deneva's reaction. He had been there for every beat of the story. Dinner, lounge, car ride, home. If anyone could have shielded Tamar, it was him. But instead, he turned trauma into parody. The wanted poster he posted mocking himself could have been a throwaway joke on another day, but not this one. Fans weren't laughing. They tore into him. You know more than you're saying. You're deflecting. You're protecting Yandy and Mendeecees. His words in that morning video sealed it. Tamar texted me. She said she lost 4 teeth and asked if I knew a dentist. To him, it was casual. To the world, it was chilling. 4 teeth missing, a fractured face, a bloody bed. And his response was to shrug, to laugh, to carry on. The betrayal stung fans like acid. If that's friendship, I don't want it, one comment read. He left her for dead and made a joke out of it. Meanwhile, Tamar Braxton herself sank into silence. That silence became the scariest part of all. Everyone knows Tamar for her voice, her willingness to speak even when it costs her. She doesn't do quiet. She doesn't let others write her story. But this time, nothing. Just one broken post. I almost died. I woke up in a pool of blood. My nose fractured, my teeth missing. Then the silence stretched like a wound, leaving fans terrified. What else had happened? What didn't she remember? Who was really there when the final blow landed? The fans weren't just theorizing, they were investigating. Threads popped up across Twitter breaking down every second of the night. One thread claimed a waitress saw Kesha arrive late. Another claimed a bartender heard Tamar scream before security dragged her out. Some users even claimed to have footage, but none surfaced. On Instagram, fan pages posted side-by-side shots. Tamar at dinner, smiling versus Tamar in bed, bruised and broken. The captions read like obituaries for her career. From lights to silence in one night. On TikTok, creators went further, posting fake leaked texts, fabricated voicemails, and scripted dramatizations that blurred so deeply with reality. Some fans believed them as gospel. Tamar's pain wasn't just consumed, it was repackaged, remixed, monetized. And yet, through all the noise, Yandy Smith stayed untouched. Her silence was too polished to crack. She posted a smiling family photo while Tamar's fans begged for answers. She posted a caption about business while the internet called her the mastermind. And somehow, the calmness worked. To her supporters, it painted her as unbothered, above the drama. To her critics, it painted her as calculating, letting her cousin's name do all the talking. Either way, her silence was the loudest strategy of all. Mendeecees Harris fared worse. His silence didn't come off as strategy, it came off as cowardice. Fans demanded proof. If you weren't with Tamar, show us. If you love Yandy, defend her. But no proof came, no defense arrived. He sat in stillness, and the internet wrote his guilt for him. For years, he'd survived by staying mute, but this time, the silence was gasoline on a fire that burned hotter with every passing hour. And cousin Kesha? She didn't have to say a word. Her silence was her brand. The more she said nothing, the more people believed everything. Her shadow loomed so large over the scandal that she didn't even need to confirm. In every meme, in every hashtag, in every fan reenactment, she was the one who threw the punch. Whether she was there or not didn't matter anymore. The streets had decided she was. And in Atlanta, that's all it takes. This is why the story refuses to die. Because it's more than gossip. It's bigger than love and hip-hop theatrics. It blurred entertainment and reality until no one could tell the difference. And maybe no one wanted to. It was blood turned into content. Silence turned into proof. Laughter turned into betrayal. It was the perfect storm of personalities. Tamar's impulsiveness, Yandy's strategy, Mendeecees' muteness, Funky's comedy, and Kesha's shadow. Together, they built a night so messy, It could never be forgotten. And now, the silence is all that's left. The silence of Tamar Braxton, her fans waiting for her to finally speak her truth. The silence of Mendeecees Harris, letting his stillness speak louder than any denial. The silence of Yandy Smith, weaponizing calm to protect her empire. The fake laughter of Funky Deneva, covering truth with parody. The silence of cousin Kesha, screaming louder than any confirmation. So the streets wrote the ending themselves. Tamar Braxton stepped too close to Mendeecees Harris. Yandy Smith found out. Cousin Kesha pulled up. And Tamar Braxton woke up bloodied, broken, and forever changed. In Atlanta, silence doesn't hide the truth. Silence is the truth. And that, silence louder than any scream, will haunt this city forever. This city forever.